Hi and welcome to SF Live. I'm your host, Christina Marie Flores. Tonight with us we have the Executive Director and the Senior Project Coordinator of Community Youth Center of San Francisco. We have Sarah Wan, welcome, as well as Eddie, welcome. Could you tell me a little bit about what the CYC offers?
CYC actually started in 1970s. So at the beginning, we founded by a few concerned members in Chinatown to deal with delinquency issues. That means there was a lot of gang-affiliated youth or high-risk youth in Chinatown. Those are monolingual, maybe in Chinese, or new immigrants that need help. Then that's how we started the organizations. But for the past 39 years, we have expanded our program from delinquency prevention to educational services, employment services, substance abuse prevention services, leadership training, as well as street outreach services.
So it started with delinquent youths in the 70s. Do you have any reason why there were so many delinquent youths in the 70s? Do you know, is that because of recent immigration, not really knowing the area yet?
Right. There's an influx of immigration at that time, and there's a lot of conflicts between the local or American-born Chinese and the foreign-born Chinese. And the gang activities back then, there's not much law enforcement that really working on to crack it down. So it has been exaggerated and expanded and really has been a very common problem in the Chinatown neighborhood at that time.
Do you think that it's become less of a problem now because of your intervention?
I think it's not as severe or different type of problem we might have. In the past, we have a lot of organized crime issues, and now we might have less organized crime because of the gang task force from the police department that have helped the crime issues in Chinatown. However, there's still a lot of groups of youths that they gather together and doing different type of activities in the Chinatown that people might not appreciate.
And what are the ages of the youth that you deal with?
Originally, back in 1970s, we focused on youth from 16 to 18 years old. Nowadays, our service actually expand from age 5 all the way to 25 years old.
Age 5?
Yeah.
Wow. And what with children that young? Is it really at risk at that age?
This is more for the educational program. So
Okay.
it's for after-school program, cultural exchange program, and parenting activities with the parents. So it's different type of activities than the high-risk kids program.
And you see with youth that age, when you bring them into the community and start working, that it's better, it guides them in the right direction
Right.
from an earlier age. Okay, so middle and high school students at risk of being exposed to gangs, drugs. Are there really that many kids in that area that are exposed to drugs?
We actually did a survey about 4 years ago. We interviewed about 300 Asian and Pacific Islander youth in San Francisco. And we found out that for the API population, there's actually a high risk of contacting or have any type of use of substance abuse substance. And we find out that prevention has been very important because the gateway drugs, including the alcohol, tobacco, and we try to give them early education and let them know what kind of consequences they will get by using this type of substance, and hopefully they will make the right decision when they're at a crossroad and they have peer pressure of using those type of substance.
Okay, and what services do you offer many different services. What are some of them that are first with the prevention and intervention?
For the prevention service, we have behavioral health programs. We actually have therapies on sites that provide short-term and long-term therapies to kids who might have behavioral health issues, that including depression, suicidal ideation, conduct disorder, or antisocial behavior. For the Asian, it has, from the study, find out that many of them might have that kind of mental health or behavioral health issues, but because of the cultural stigma, they're very unlikely to seek help. So with our service that provide bilingual and bicultural service, we hope that we could early diagnosis if they have that type of problem and provide appropriate help at the right time. We also provide employment service, both subsidized and non-subsidized placement for youth who are age 16 to 25 years old. So for the high school kid, as long as they maintain the GPA about 2.0, and then if they're willing to work after school for 2 hours a day and 10 hours a week during summer, we can place them in a nonprofit center to work and build up their own personal portfolio, because it has been quite a challenge for them to find a job at that young age, and especially right now in this kind of economic downturn.
Definitely. Definitely. Now, let's back up a little bit, and you're talking about behavioral and teaching families how to recognize signs early, and that it is a cultural stigma attached to
Right.
getting help for these depression and other things that many youth in San Francisco go through. What are some of the signs that families should watch out for in their children that may need to bring in and and figure out for them to get help for these things?
Some of the red flags may be like they not willing to talk, they are not able to sleep, they change their appetite, they have strange reaction to certain things. There are many different red flags, but I think the key is very important for the parent to have open communication with their kids starting when they were young, so that they could get to know about their kid, what they're thinking, and most importantly, when the kids feel like they have problem, they know who to seek help. I think that's very crucial.
And I think one of the things that dealing with the immigrant population is also the cultural differences that plays a big part in adjusting to the American culture, and then the way that they basically teach their kids or how to reward and punish their kids. They don't know how to utilize that, so they use the culture from back home and use the same type of methods to deal with the kids in this culture. So sometimes they don't get that effect that they would like to see in their kids. So some of the warning signs basically is kids start hanging out late after school instead of going home right away, and then kids don't even not coming home at night, or sometimes they just go straight to their room. And with today's technology, a lot of people get online, and that's one of the issues that some of the parents they may not be truants, they may not be troublemakers, but at the same time, the issues of the fact that they're antisocial that triggers other risk factors in the female and male population, and also the fact that some of the parents they're too busy working. A lot of times that they are two parents coming, they have to work to provide food on the table for rent and all that, so they neglect to really communicate with their youth and their children. So sometimes they have this disconnect, and when the trouble really starts, then they realize that, wow, what did we do wrong, or how can we do it better? That's why we have a parenting class, in CYC, and that we just really address those issues, how to communicate with the youth and how to break down their own culture stigmas, the way that they were brought up, back in the old days, and then what's going on right now, because they too face a language barrier, cultural barrier, and then they don't understand their youth. That's one of the complaints that most of the youth that we work with is that our parents, they don't know about who we are, and they don't know the culture that we're living in right now. So it's difficult for them to really communicate with their kids. So that's why when we come in, we're trying to help both sides. We're trying to help the kids and the parents, And we see a lot of progress, just the fact that, like, some of the parents, when we trying to, suggest to the parents, instead of, always scolding the kids or saying that, well, what did you do wrong? Sometimes, like, for example, a kid will come home late, and it happens a few times. The parents say, what are you doing outside? Why you come home late? How come you don't call us? We're worried, don't you know? We have to work. So it's always about you. So the kids always build up their wall of communication. They say, oh, my parents always say no to me on everything, so I don't even respond to them, right? So what we taught the parents is basically say, when they come home, instead of just yelling at them, just say, how are you doing? Are you hungry? Are you, what do you need? Do you need something? Are you feeling all right? And then they say, yeah, okay. So if you're hungry, we got some food in the refrigerator, or you might want to take a shower and get ready for school tomorrow. Just things like that. So parents, they start really practicing on some of the things that we suggest them in our parenting class, then they actually feel the difference. And then they start teaching other parents from the skills that they learn. So that's each one teach one to pass it on.
So parenting is difficult as it is, but when you come from a different culture, different country, and you're here and hitting the ground running, trying to work and make a life for your family, you are not always able to have that same close-knit family because you're gone working.
Exactly.
And so it takes new skills that they have to learn as parents to be able to bring your children into a safe environment to open up and talk about their life rather than getting upset and scolding.
Yeah, that's why the youth look at their friends as their best friends, that they talk to them about everything, and look at their parents as enemies because the parents always say no,
Right.
And they don't really get to a chance to really understand the struggles that they're going through as new immigrants coming to this country. Right? For the American-born Chinese or the other, whether it's Vietnamese, Korean, or the Pacific Islanders, they face a different set of problems also. Just because they were born in this country doesn't necessarily mean that the value of the previous generation is the same as the new generation. So that's why there's a cultural gap right there. And sometimes you could have kids who go to lower high school, that who get excellent grades and they have a different set of problems, different set of pressure, dealing with the homework, the stress, the need to be successful,